Rain, snow, hail. All things we're used to seeing fall from the sky on any given day. We don't think twice when it starts to rain. But over the course of history, there have been some truly weird things to fall on their unsuspecting victims. Take, for example, the strange account of the town of Lajamanu, Australia. In 2004, the locals of this remote town reported hundreds and hundreds of small white fish falling from the sky, still alive. As if a freak fish storm isn't weird enough, Lajamanu sits on the edge of the Tanami Desert, hundreds of kilometers from Lake Argyll and Lake Elliot, the closest bodies of water. Most meteorologists speculate that the incident was probably caused by a tornado that would have plucked the fish from the water, launched them into the weather system, where they would have been essentially frozen and eventually deposited as fishy hailstones over the tiny outback town. 2004 wasn't the first or last time perch fell from the sky in Lajamanu either. In 1980 and twice in 2010, locals were greeted by a light dusting of seafood. On the subject of food, let's travel back in time to March 3, 1876. It was a clear spring day in Olympia Springs, Kentucky, and a certain Mrs. Crouch was making soap outside her house when she noticed that it had started to snow. Not actual snow, mind you, but large flakes of what looked like beef. The following day, an inspector came to verify the story, and sure enough, he noted the presence of meat flakes covering the area. He said that most of the flakes were roughly 5 centimeters square, though at least some were twice that size. 2 unidentified men turned up and, apparently with complete disregard for their health, decided to taste the meat. They declared that it tasted like either venison or mutton. Various explanations were proposed over the following months, some scientists claiming the flakes were bacteria, others claiming that it was lung tissue of either a human infant or a horse, until it was finally confirmed that the mysterious fleshy precipitation was indeed meat of some sort. In all, 7 specimens were examined by scientists. 2 were confirmed to be lung tissue, 3 to be muscle tissue, and 2 to be cartilage. But where did they come from? And why did they fall from the sky? One Dr. L.D. Kastenbein proposed the most likely explanation for the phenomenon we're likely ever going to get. The meat, he said, was the product of a synchronized barrage of projectile vulture vomit. The 2 species of vulture found in Kentucky, the black vulture and the turkey vulture, are both known to projectile vomit their stomach contents as a defense mechanism, or to make themselves light enough for sustained flight. Regardless of where the meat came from, I personally would not have tasted it. Moving back to more recent events, let's look at the creepy crawly account of Christian Oneto Gaona and his friends, who were hiking in Argentina over their Easter vacation. On April 6, 2007, Christian and his friends were hiking the San Bernardo mountain. 2 hours into their trek, they came upon an area where the ground was completely blanketed in spiders, each about 4 inches across. Unlike your humble narrator would have done, the hikers continued on their way, finding more and more spiders as they went. At one point they looked up and saw the nightmarish sight of dozens of spiders falling from the sky. Luckily, or unluckily, Christian remembered he had a camera with him. He caught a picture of the tiny skydivers in flight, and a close-up of one beginning to spin its web. Christian said the event seemed like something out of a science fiction movie versus real life. While spiders can glide without a parachute just fine, larger creatures tend to have more difficulty with the whole landing safely thing. London, September of 2012. Residents of the Mortlake neighborhood came across a grisly scene outside a traditional Chinese medicine shop. The mangled body of an unidentified man. The police began their investigation, suspecting foul play, and deduced from the remains that the victim was approximately 5 feet 4 inches tall and between 20 and 30 years old. They also discovered that he wasn't murdered at all, unless you can blame gravity. His injuries were sustained from a very long fall, specifically from a passenger jet. Authorities suspect that this brilliant individual decided to stow away on a plane headed for Heathrow Airport, then probably realized his mistake when the landing gear was deployed and he fell to his untimely demise. Not to worry, the Civil Aviation Authority states that he probably died long before he hit the ground. He was likely crushed when the landing gear retracted after takeoff, or he may have frozen in the minus 40 degrees Celsius compartment. Much better than death by inertia, right? Speaking of the strained relationship between larger creatures and gravity, quite possibly the strangest thing to fall from the sky was a cow. Yep, you heard that right. In 1997, some Japanese fishermen were minding their own business when roughly 1,200 pounds of uncooked hamburger streaked from the sky like a meaty meteor and left a cow-shaped hole in their boat. The fishermen were eventually rescued after clinging to the wreckage for several hours, and then promptly put in jail for claiming their vessel had been sunk by a kamikaze cow. The poor confused fishermen remained in prison for several weeks until Japanese authorities got a highly unusual call from Russian Air Force officials. What really happened was that the crew of a Russian cargo plane had stolen a cow that wandered too close to their Siberian airfield and packed it away in their plane for the flight home, thinking it would be a good supply of beef. Unfortunately, the cow started to panic and cause chaos in the cargo hold, affecting the plane's stability. This made the crew exactly nervous enough to jettison the poor creature 30,000 feet above the Sea of Japan. It was a bad day for everyone involved. So, the next time you complain about a little snow or rain, just remember that some poor suckers in Japan had a cow dropped on them, and be thankful. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to keep up with the latest content, and be sure to check out my channel for my other videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.